Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. In today's video, I'm touching on what I've been watching this last week. A couple musicals, a couple DC movies, quite a bit to get through here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, hope everybody's doing well here on a Saturday afternoon. I'm covering 5 movies actually that I watched. They're pretty new movies that came out this last year, or 2 that just came out this last week. In fact, first I'm going to start with a movie that came out later this year, or earlier this year, I should say. A movie called Nope, N-O-P-E, Nope, which is Jordan Peele movie. That was pretty anticipated movie, I think, for a lot of people because Jordan Peele's quite a bit of following now, especially with Get Out was a big movie for him, and also Us. So this is like his third directed movie. I remember seeing this like a trailer for like at the Super Bowl, I want to say, and I thought, wow, this is like the worst trailer I've ever seen. And I remember it was like, oh, Jordan Peele's behind it, so I was like, okay, it's like a horror movie probably, because Jordan Peele's kind of made himself a horror movie director, it seems like. Or if not horror, at least like kind of a scary thriller director. Kind of somewhat horror-like. And so I remember seeing the trailer and being like, wow, this is the best they can do for a trailer. A trailer is supposed to get hyped up for the movie, get you excited to go, oh man, I want to see that. And I was like, wow, this is like the worst trailer I've ever seen. Like, I can't imagine this is a very good movie. Plus it's Jordan Peele, which I'm like, I'm not a Jordan Peele fan. So I was like, well, this doesn't sound like my kind of movie. So when it came out, I really had no anticipation of watching it at all, especially because if I don't like horror movies. So I thought if there's a horror aspect, I just stay away from that kind of stuff. But it got pretty good, I think, reviews. Seemed like a lot of people watched it. It was a fairly big movie that came out. And I think there's a lot of people, yeah, really enjoy this movie. You might even see this movie like on a top 10 list, people's list, I'm sure, at the end of this year. For me, it'd be on the bottom of my list. It's like way towards the bottom. One of the worst movies I've seen all year. Really horrible. It was so boring. As I say, it's all the trigger words that I use for like the movies I don't like. Boring, slow moving, pointless. That's what I usually say if I don't like a movie. And that really goes along with this movie. And the movie's called Nope. And I'm like, yeah, nope. Do not watch this movie. Yeah, I thought this kind of supposed to be like maybe an alien invasion type storyline or something, but so small scale. There's only like 3 or 4 characters, feels like, in the whole movie, maybe 5. Like, it just feels like there's not, it seems like there needs to be more characters in this movie. It got just so boring. It was just only a couple characters talking all the time, and most of it taking place on like this ranch. There's only 2 people on this ranch and like 1 horse, and so it was just a really boring setting and just very uninteresting. And then you're just waiting for something. I'm thinking, okay, something scary or something's going to happen. And just nothing happened. And I'm just watching it going, is anything going to happen in this movie? Is there any point to this movie? And they keep cutting back to a scene, like a flashback scene that I'm not going to get into, but it had nothing to do with the movie. And every time they go back to it, I'm like, why do they keep going back to this flashback scene? Like, it doesn't make any sense to anything. Anyway, so the movie, I think, is supposed to be scary or thrilling or something. I never was scared or thrilled or interested at all throughout the whole movie. You do get a reveal. There is something out there. And when they reveal what it is, I was like, wow, this is so stupid. Like, I thought this is not interesting or, I don't know, scary, whatever they're supposed to try to make it. It's just really stupid looking, whatever this thing was that they reveal. And then as it goes on, I was like, okay, what's the point of all this? Where are we going with this? And it ends, and I'm just like, wow, I'm just like not interested. There's nothing about this movie that interests me at all or entertained me at all. And so it's definitely getting like a 0.5 star. Like, it's getting the worst review I can give it. It was just one of the worst 2-hour experience I've had at a movie, watching a movie. Luckily, I just watch it at home. So I can do other things, so I don't have to be totally bored. But yeah, terrible movie, I thought. Nope. And I know people love this movie, and like, I'm just like, I don't understand how anybody could like this movie. It didn't make any sense to me. Anyway, so that's Nope. Next movie I'm talking about is a movie that just came out on Disney Plus the other day called Disenchanted. I think it just came out yesterday on Disney Plus platform. It's a sequel to Enchantment. It seemed like a long time ago when I remember seeing that in the movie theater a long time ago. It seems like, so I don't know what it is with Disney Plus. It reminds me of like Hocus Pocus 2. It's like, was anybody asking for this review, the sequel? Was anybody looking forward to a sequel? Or did anybody want to see? I don't know. Like Disney Plus, like I'm guessing they're the writers or whatever, the big honchos at Disney Plus. They must sit around and be like, okay, what property can we do a sequel of that we can put on our platform, our Disney Plus? We need to we need so many shows and movies to put on our platform, Disney Plus. Content. We need content, to put on here for people to watch and people to get excited about and people want to continue to subscribe to our services. And so they just go through all these old movies that haven't had sequels yet, like Hocus Pocus and this one, Enchanted. I guess it's like, okay, let's give a bunch of money to some of those actors to come back and do a sequel. And I don't know, it doesn't work for me. None of these sequels have been working for me at all because I just don't care, I guess. And I didn't really care that much about the first Enchanted. Like, it wasn't that big to me. I know it was kind of a big movie. It got some Oscar nominations for songs. Amy Adams, was really at the height of her career at the time, Enchantment. I feel like she's not really at the height anymore. She's kind of, her career, her star power has really gone down. And though I like Amy Adams and she's fine in this, I don't know. I just was not crazy about the character or the storyline. And we come with this whole storyline where she gets a magic wand and she wishes life was like a fairy tale, I guess. And so because she's a stepmother, she has a stepdaughter, she becomes evil because stepmothers are evil in fairy tales. So that's kind of a funny take on fairy tales, I guess. But overall, it wasn't that funny. I think it was supposed to be a comedy, but it really wasn't that funny. It's a musical, but none of the songs were really that good or memorable. The best one was that when Idina Menzel comes in and she sings, I'm like, oh, okay, here's an actual singer. I feel like Amy Adams is okay singer, and she does fine, I guess, but like she's nowhere near like Idina Menzel. So when she comes in and sings, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I want out of a musical. Let's have a whole musical of her singing. Let's have Menzel be the main character, not Amy Adams, because I want to hear her sing these songs because she can bring so much to it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a blah musical comedy, trying to play on nostalgia, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, it was a movie that didn't work for me. I'd give it like 2 out of 5 stars. Just a non-recommend. Another musical that came out actually on Apple Plus, I believe, was a movie called Spirited with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, which, I mean, pretty good duo. I mean, Will Ferrell is another one who I feel like doesn't have the star power he used to have. I'm a big Will Ferrell fan of his older work. I think has been some of my favorites, but I feel like now he's getting older into his 50s. I don't know, he's just not as funny. I haven't seen anything. I feel like the couple movies I've seen lately just hasn't been as funny or something. Like, I don't know, it's just, he's not as good as he used to be. That's just what happens when you get older, maybe. Ryan Reynolds is kind of still at the peak of his career, I think. But still, it's a pretty good, combination duo, I would think. That I think would have worked better. But this is another one. It's a Christmas themed musical kind of thing. And it has actually an interesting premise. I like the premise of we're seeing, it's like a Christmas Carol, but we're seeing it through the eyes of the spirits, the Christmas past, present, and future, whatever. Mostly the present, which Will Ferrell plays the, what do you call it, the Christmas present, whatever. And the spirit, whatever, of the present time. And we kind of see that every Christmas there's like we see, Christmas Carol is about Scrooge, but it turns out every Christmas they pick a person who needs to be like redeemed, who isn't a good person, and they kind of pick them and then they kind of study them and do research, and then they kind of come up with a scenario to turn them around. That's a really good premise and an interesting idea, and I'd love to see more of that idea maybe executed a little bit better than this was. And as another one, it's a comedy, it's a musical, but the comedy doesn't really work that well. The music is not really that good. It's just very bland, just generic musical numbers. And again, I thought the actors were not very good at musicals. Like Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds, Octavia Spencer sings a song, and like none of them, not that they're terrible singers, but they just don't have the voice to really, wow you. I think musical, you need singers that really wow you with their voice, that you're just like, wow, that was such a good vocal performance. So when you have these just mediocre songs sung by mediocre people, it just, I don't know, it doesn't play very well for me. As for someone who loves musicals, like I just want more, something more grand, more grandeur, something more catchy, or all this. And so yeah, music numbers, none of them really worked for me. Couldn't really tell you any of them or remember any of the songs throughout. Yeah, and it wasn't really that funny. There's a couple comedic moments that come out. They go, okay, that was a pretty funny idea. And there's even a funny twist in the movie that I was like, okay, that was an interesting twist. But the overall, the story was just all over the place. And at first, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of following the story. But then after a while, I was like, I don't quite understand where the story's going, because it's about Ron Reynolds. Will Ferrell's trying to turn Ryan Reynolds around. Reynolds' character is the Scrooge of the movie. He's like a businessman who's very egotistical and doesn't care about other people, that typical thing. Of course, it's a Christmas Carol story, basically, which we've seen a million adaptations of. So it's really hard to do a new Christmas Carol without doing something new, because we've seen it done so many times. And it's trying to play on the genre and parody it a little bit, but while also kind of playing out the same plot points. So okay, so it goes that way. And then, but Will Ferrell's character is a lot about him and his whole storyline of, he's been doing the Christmas present for 46 years or something like that, and that he can retire and go back to being a human, which absolutely makes no sense to me as somebody who's a Christian, who believes in an afterlife. Like, that's not the way the afterlife works, and it's a weird idea for an afterlife. I don't get this afterlife idea at all, that you die, you become a spirit, and then you eventually get to become a human again. I don't know. It didn't make any sense. The whole storyline is like, what's going on? And then he also kind of like falls in love with Octavia Spencer for some reason. Also, we had like this romantic storyline between him and Octavia Spencer, which like, that came out of nowhere to me. And I was like, okay, I don't really care about this storyline. I was more interested in the Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds storyline, what's going on there. And so, I don't know. The story I just thought was just too much. I didn't like the way it was going. I thought it was badly written, and just a really badly written musical overall, and just not interesting at all. So another kind of dud musical for me, too, here with Enchanted and Spirited. Anyway, so that's 3 movies. The 4th movie I'll talk about, I'll get a little bit better movies here. I'm going from worst to best. I saw Black Adam just a couple days ago. A superhero, DC superhero movie with Dwayne Johnson as this kind of superhero, anti-hero, Black Adam. I really had no expectations. I remember seeing the trailers and just being like, oh, it looks like another Superman. Like, why do we need another Superman type character? And Superman's not the most interesting character to me. Like I've said before, like I'm more interested in superheroes that are more skilled, fighters, that have built themselves up, have gadgets and stuff. That's why I always like, Batman. It's always been one of my favorite. And even like Captain America has super strength, but he also has, other fighting capabilities. And Spider-Man has superhero powers, but I don't know. They're more hand-to-hand combat kind of guys. I don't like these guys that are just like, shoot lightning at people, or they're just super strong so nothing can hurt them. I like the superhero to be a little bit more vulnerable. It makes the hero more interesting. So overall, I was like not interested in this movie at all. I don't think it really got good reviews and all of this. And so, but I was like, it's a big movie. I like to try to catch up on the big movies of the year. And so I watched it, and I would say I was actually liked it a lot more than I thought I would. Actually give it a positive review. I was kind of surprised. I didn't think I would. But overall, I was like pretty entertained throughout the movie. I wasn't bored. It had a pretty good pace to it. In fact, I would say I like this better than the Batman, and everybody loves the Batman that came out earlier this year. And I was kind of bored with the Batman. I thought it lacked action. It wasn't that interesting. The bad guys were interesting. Batman wasn't. And the bad guys actually carried that movie for me, which it's an okay movie, but I wasn't super crazy about it. I would say I was more interested I enjoyed this movie much more than the Batman. So to me, Black Adam has been the best superhero movie of the year. I think better than Doctor Strange, better than Thor: Love and Thunder. I haven't seen Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, so that could beat it. But for right now, like Black Adam's like the best superhero movie I've seen, basically live action, anyways, superhero. Because I thought the action actually was pretty good. I liked the Justice Society, whatever, coming in. I thought Pierce Brosnan did a really good job with Dr. Fate. Hawkman was annoying because he kept trying to pick a fight with Black Adam, which I was like, okay, dude, just chill out. Like, this guy is way more powerful than you, and it's getting kind of tiring. You just keep going after him. But it did have a couple comedic moments that worked really well. It wasn't that comedic overall, I would say, but every once in a while they throw in a comedy moment that was like, okay, that was really funny. So that kind of worked for me. I mean, the plot, I didn't really care about the plot that much, I would say. And it's funny, Dwayne Johnson, he's such a fun, charismatic actor. And it's funny putting him in this Black Adam character who's really like the serious, not humorous character. It was a different character I thought, for Dwayne Johnson. And it didn't really use his abilities as an actor that well. But he still has a great screen presence. And he looks good in a suit because he's this jacked guy. Anyway, so yeah, but I mean, overall, like I said, when it comes down to it, I was pretty entertained by all that was going on. I was following along the story. I wasn't confused, wasn't lost. I got through it all, and I was like, okay, yeah, that wasn't bad. I give it a positive review overall. Not the best movie, but far better than I expected. So that's Black Adam. Last movie I want to talk about is the best movie I've seen this last week, and one of the best I've seen all year. Technically a DC movie. It's an animation movie though, called DC League of Super Pets, where it takes these animals. The main one is this dog, Crypto, I think the name is, or something like that, and he's Superman's dog, and he comes from Kryptonite, whatever the Superman comes from. So he has superpowers as well. He's a dog that has the same superpowers as Superman, and him and Superman are like best buds, of course, because. Anyways, and he's actually voiced by Dwayne Johnson, so it's actually a second Dwayne Johnson movie dealing with superheroes that I've watched this last week, and it is one of the funniest movies of the whole year. It's the best animation movie by far that I've seen so far this year. Animation movies so far have been pretty disappointing. There's still a couple that I still need to watch, that I plan on watching, but. This was such a pleasant surprise because I really had no expectations. I knew nothing about this movie except I knew it came out, and I've just seen very few reviews of it at all. So I wasn't expecting this to be that great. And then when I was watching, I was like, wow, this is really good. I love the whole storyline with these pets. They all get superpowers. We get all these different characters. We get another dog that's voiced by Kevin Hartman, which you're probably thinking, oh gosh, another Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hartman movie. Yeah, but it actually worked. I thought the voice acting was really good. Kevin Hart, I think, is actually pretty funny. I think he's maybe overplayed, and that's why some people don't like him that much, because he's in everything. But I thought he's voice acting wise, he did a pretty good job. But there's all this stuff, like there's a turtle, there's a pig, there's a squirrel, and they all get superpowers, and they don't know how to use them, and so they kind of have to go against this guinea pig named Lulu, voiced by Kate McKinnon. Which again, I'm a fan of Kate McKinnon. She's very funny. I've heard a lot of people don't like her. I think maybe she's overdone it with her shtick. But I don't know. She still did a pretty good job as the villain of the movie. And I thought it was a pretty good villain too. The skinny pig who gets superpowers, and then she gives superpowers to all these other I don't know if they're guinea pigs or something like that. And she was very funny. It was a very good villain role. And the battles between them. And there's also the Superman, and you also see all the Justice League people like Batman and Wonder Woman. Everybody that's in, the Justice League movie. They make appearance. Lex Luger's in it. Lex Luger, yeah, is in it. So it's fun to see all these superheroes played out. And it's very funny. I'd say the thing that I come away with it is I probably laughed at this movie more than I laughed about any other movie except for maybe Weird Al. Is the only other comedy that I laughed as much. But yeah, surprisingly, just extremely funny movie. I thought the story was really well done. Animation was really well done. I loved the setting of being in the DC. Actually, it was really fun to play with all the DC stuff that you know about. There's not much I can say about it except for repeating lines that are in it. But just say, I highly recommend it. It's on HBO Max right now. I can't recommend it enough. It's one of the best movies I've seen all year. I would say right now it's probably my top 5 favorite movies that I've seen, and one that I would love to get sometime and go back to, and hope they would do sequels to it, because I think it was very well. I don't know how it did in the movie theater, but It was such a well done movie that could definitely come up with some sequels, and they definitely set it up that they could do sequels to it. And I would love to see that because it was such a fun movie to watch. And one, I'm like, wow, why can't every movie be like this one? Why can't there be more? I don't know. Whoever wrote it needs to write more movies because they did such a good job. So can't say enough. Definitely check out DC: The League of Super Pets. Really love that movie. So, anyways, I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. A really strong recommend. Anyway, so yeah, so there I covered 5 movies this week. I usually cover 3 or 4, but saw quite a bit. I've been watching a little more stuff lately, trying to catch up with movies that came out earlier this year that I didn't see in the theater. So expect more of that. Of course, next year is gonna be next week is gonna be Thanksgiving, so I probably won't do as many videos next week. I'll see what I'll get to anyways. But yeah, but thank you for watching this video. Feel free to comment. What do you think about these movies? Especially Nope. I know a lot of people love Nope, and I'm just the weird one here, but it was one of the worst. And so I know I get some comments about that. But yeah, love to read any comments about what you think about the movies I talked about here and what you think about them. Yeah, just thank you for liking this video, and just thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. I really appreciate you all and hope you have a good day.